Dear students, good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night from the wonderful Vienna. 6 months of intensive preparation with writing memoranda for claimant and respondent, participating in numerous pre-moots, and then having 4 days of intensive pleadings here culminate for many of you in this one moment. For us as the organizers, the most important objective of the Vis has already been reached. By now you know probably much more about the law applicable to the arbitration agreement, the inclusion of standard terms, than 99.9% of the legal profession worldwide. You have learned how to expertly present your arguments even under stress, and hopefully you have made friends outside your own jurisdiction. Thus, even if your university is not mentioned within the 64 universities I'm going to read out in a moment, you are a winner. And you may not realize that now, but we are sure that you will realize it at least from tomorrow onwards. For me, as a professor, that is normally one of the highlights of my career. Standing in front of an audience of 2,000 people clinging to your lips and seeing the enormous joy of those who have made it into the rounds of 64, and then also seeing how sad some of you are who should have made it into the round of 64, but for whatever circumstances have not. Now I have to talk to you via the internet. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the last 4 days, and I hope that you're going to celebrate whatever you do, wherever your university has been mentioned or not, tonight. And I hope definitely that you kept a good memory of the Vis Moot. With that, I will not continue any longer, but start with what you're most interested in, reading out the names of the universities who have made it into the round of 64. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce the names, and to avoid any problems, I'm going to hold up the pairings shortly thereafter. So we have Aarhus University versus University of Freiburg. Then we have Universitat Francisco Marroquín versus University of Cyril and Methodius. We have the Honorable Society of the Middle Temple versus Fordham University. We have the University of Pittsburgh versus the University of St. Gallen. We have the University of Sydney versus University of Lucerne. We have the Pontifical Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro versus the National Law University of Jodhpur. We have the University of Miami versus Dar el-Hekma School of Law and Diplomacy. We have Deakin University versus London School of Economics. We have the University of Pristina versus University of Hamburg. We have the University of Helsinki versus University of Michigan. We have the National University of Malaysia versus University of Passau. We have the University of Cambridge versus Monash University. We have the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul versus University of Cologne. We have City University of Hong Kong versus Stetson University. We have Singapore Management University versus Strathmore University. have the University of Ottawa versus University of Bielefeld. We have the University of Chinese Academy of Social Science versus University of Münster. We have the Royal University for Women versus Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. We have the Wirtschaftsuniversität Vienna versus Case Western Reserve University. We have the University of Pretoria versus Luigi Bocconi University. We have Mackenzie Presbyterian University versus University of Mainz. We have Gajah Mada University versus Chinese University of Hong Kong. We have the University of Basel versus University of Indonesia. We have the University of Vienna versus University of Seneca. We have University of Zagreb versus University of Stockholm. We have Universidad Rafael Landivar versus University of Munich. We have University of International Business Economics Beijing versus University of Göttingen. We have Sofia University St. Clement Oritsky versus University of Mannheim. We have the University of Heidelberg versus National Law School of India. We have University of Buenos Aires versus FGB Rio Law School. We have Bucerius Law School versus Jagiellonian University. And last, we have McGill University versus Humboldt University. Congratulations to all participants. Congratulations to those teams who made it into the round of 64. Sleep well, and we see you tomorrow morning at 8 Vienna time for the pleadings. And all other ones, enjoy, celebrate, and we hope to see many of you in person next year in Vienna. Bye.